Hello and welcome back to another Football Commentaries live stream. As Christmas is well upon us, we still have plenty of football coming our way. And tonight, this Thursday, we have Crystal Palace taking on bitter rivals Brighton in the Premier League. Palace are without a win in their last six, but picked up an incredible point at the Etihad at the weekend, coming back from 2-0 down to equalise in the 95th minute for a Michael Elise penalty. For the away side under Roberto De Zerbi, they are still struggling with only 2 wins in their last 11 in the league, which has seen the Seagulls drop to 9th in the table. A positive for Brighton is that they did qualify for the last 16 of the Europa League after finishing first in their group. This will be the 13th meeting between the two teams in the Premier League, where Palace have managed only one home win, which was back in April 2018, and for Brighton they've only managed to pick up one away win in March 2019. So, with 3 points up for grabs, will it be the Eagles or the Seagulls to take the victory? So yeah, despite the lack of games, we've had a lot of draws in the Premier League. Like I say, only the one Palace win at home in April 2018 and the Brighton away win in March 2019. We've had 6 draws in the Premier League, and their first ever Premier League meeting was a 0-0 draw. Hopefully we won't get one of them tonight. But these games are usually really close and very tense and tight. And, 5 of the last 8 games between these two have been 1-1 draws, which says a lot. 4 at Palace and then 1 at the Amex back in January 2022. So a lot of draws occur in this fixture usually. That doesn't mean it's a bad game, but it's usually quite close and tight, and it's just down to taking the chances. And we'll have to see which team tonight takes their chances. Both teams tonight are without their leading goal scorers starting. Crystal Palace's Odsonne Edouard is out of the squad tonight, and Jean-Philippe Mateta will lead the line. And then Evan Ferguson for Brighton is only on the bench after he's not scored in his last 4 games in the Premier League, the Irishman. So both teams are without their leading goal scorers in the league this season tonight, but the goals can come from elsewhere. The likes of the 2 wide players for Brighton are dangerous, the likes of Simon Adingra and Karu Mitoma, and the Japanese winger is making his 50th appearance tonight in the Premier League, and he is on one hell of a goal-scoring drought. Karu Mitoma, his last goals for Brighton was at home against Bournemouth in the Premier League on the 24th of September. He's gone 17 games. He's gone 16 games now in all competitions without a goal. He's got 0 in his last 10 that he's played in the Premier League. 11 without a goal if you include the game which he missed against Nottingham Forest. So Mitoma hasn't scored a goal in all competitions for nearly 3 months coming up now. So they'll need him to start getting into goal scoring form. They can't be relying on the likes of Evan Ferguson and João Pedro to be scoring the goals, and I think that is a reason why Brighton have dropped off the way they have. They're obviously 9th place at the minute. A win tonight would put them up to 7th, but I think the lack of goals coming from Karu Mitoma has affected them, because he scored 7 last season in the Premier League, and he's got 10 altogether in the Premier League in his career. So he needs to, get scoring goals again, because his team need him to start performing, the Japanese winger, who did sign a new contract 2 months ago now, till 2027. So he's here to stay, and he needs to start scoring the goals again, Karu Mitoma. But we are just about under 7 minutes away from kick-off here. The game is at Selhurst Park tonight. Last season, when these two teams met at Selhurst Park, it was a 1-1 draw back in early February. A Solly March goal in the 63rd minute was cancelled out by a James Tompkins goal for Crystal Palace in the 69th minute. And then they met about a month later at the Amex in March, and it was just a 1-0 win for Brighton that day. It was a 15th minute goal from Solly March, who scored in both fixtures, and he's out obviously injured. Apologies about that. But sorry about the noise in the background. But kick-off is just around 5 minutes away. First game in the Premier League for this weekend. And I was actually watching a Do apologise. I completely forgot what I was going to say. What was I going to say? I can't remember. I can't remember what I was going to say. Anyway, Palace do come into this game 6 without a win, but at the weekend, that draw against Manchester City was nothing short of heroic. Going 2-0 down, Grealish in the 24th minute, Rico Lewis in the 54th, then getting one back in the 24th through in the 76th through Mateta, then obviously getting that late penalty through Elise. I mean, what a point that is. That is almost like a win for Crystal Palace, but they could do with the 3 points to get them back up the table. A win today would put them up to 12th. Obviously, the Crystal Palace and Brighton tonight are the first teams to play in this game week for the Premier League, so every other team around them still has to play, but it would put them in a provisional place of 12th and for Brighton 7th. And it's just to know that you've done all you can to be as high up the table as you possibly can will be, that will put the players' minds at ease and the manager's minds at ease as well. Why is it so dark? I do apologise. Well, really dark. Sorry, I'm just trying to sort out the lighting here. Don't want to blind myself as well. Hold on, I'll have to turn the light on. There we go. Light is on. Still a bit dark though, isn't it? Can't do that. But let's switch over. Just watching the darts there. Turn that over. Get the football on. As we do see here, both sets of players emerging onto the pitch here at Selhurst Park. It holds just over 25,000 supporters, and as I was going to say before, I was watching a TikTok about the rivalry of these two teams, and a Crystal Palace fan was saying that either team, sets of supporters, think this is a derby, this is a rivalry, not a derby, because the media try and label it as the M23 derby, and Palace and Brighton fans say it's not a derby, it's a rivalry that is stemmed from the past and the history of the two teams coming together and playing each other, and it's obviously got spicy on the pitch, and that spread towards the fan bases, and it's now a rivalry. None of them admit it's a derby, they understand it's not, it's just a rivalry, and that can happen between two teams who aren't as close together as people might think. So it is just a rivalry, not a derby, and it's definitely one that both teams want to win. And yeah, I think that's also a reason why on the pitch it's been quite close in the recent history. 5 draws in the last 8, all of those 5 being 1-1 draws. And as well, it's not really a fixture Brighton like. Before their win last season at home against Crystal Palace, they'd gone 7 without a win before that. So Brighton don't usually like the fixture. There's a lot of draws in the game as well. So I think this is going to be really interesting to see how this game shapes up, because they're usually close encounters, and we could get the same once again. We'll have to wait and see how the game unfolds. But yeah, I think it's just very important to say that neither of these teams believe that this is a derby. It is just a fierce rivalry, and the rivalry was definitely knocked up a few levels around. I think it was 10 years ago now, when they met each other in the 2014 Championship playoffs, where Brighton did get beat by Crystal Palace. It was 0-0 in the first leg, and then the second leg was 2-0 to Palace at the Amex, where Zaha scored a double. And I think that definitely sparked it a little bit further. And now they were both in the Premier League, and they're facing each other at least twice a season. And it was good to see. I think it's good to have rivalries from across the country. Not just have your local ones, have your, as long as they actually have a meaning. I think that it's healthy to have rivalries in football. I think it makes games so much more exciting, and hopefully we get an exciting game tonight. Fingers crossed, because the last 3 games we've covered on the channel, we've done Liverpool, Manchester United, we did Chelsea, Newcastle, and then we did Liverpool, West Ham. And each game we've done of those three, they've all been very one-sided games. So it's been very much attack versus defence. Hopefully tonight we get a bit more of an open game where both teams can have spells of possession. As tonight is Roberto De Zerbi's 50th game in charge in the Premier League. He's got 21 wins in his previous 49. I remember his first game being a 3-3 draw at Anfield. But he needs his team to win tonight. They need to get back on track in the Premier League. They're doing well in Europe. They qualified top of the group into the last 16, but now they've got to get on in the Premier League. They've got to be building a run together of wins, and what a place it would be to start getting those runs of wins going, as Crystal Palace will kick us off, kicking left to right. Brighton right to left. It's at left back here for Crystal Palace with Mitchell back to Mark Gay. He goes into the 18-yard area to goalkeeper Dean Henderson, who's making his second appearance in the Premier League this season for the injured Sam Johnston, as his kick that's gone long has fell to Jordan Ayew. He goes back midway inside his own half here to Gay. Into the 18-yard box here once again with Dean Henderson, who would have enjoyed that draw on Saturday, being a former Manchester United player, being able to take points off the blue side of Manchester if Will Hughes loses it in midfield and Baleba tries to bring the ball forward for Brighton, but Will Hughes has recovered the ball well, and it's Crystal Palace on it as Jordan Ayew goes over on the halfway line through the challenge of Simon Adingra, and the referee likes the challenge, he doesn't mind it, and it'll be Brighton to get on the ball for the first time in the game as we're just about to hit the first minute here at Selhurst Park. Van Hecke on the ball. Looks like Van Hecke is going to play right centre half. We might even have a bit of a back three here when Brighton are in possession. Back three of Van Hecke, Dunk and Igor. Here is the Brazilian centre back on the ball. Van Hecke midway side his own half, goes back into his 18-yard area here with Bart Verbruggen, the Dutch goalkeeper, who's on the ball, being closed down here by Mateta. Plays it to his right here to Van Hecke, who's in the 18-yard area himself. Plays it forward. It's a pass that will find João Pedro, who plays it forward, looking for the run of Pascal Gross. Cut out just inside his own half there by Chris Richards. That's gone back to Dean Henderson, who clears it long. First time down the Crystal Palace right. It goes all the way through to the opposite goalkeeper, Bart Verbruggen. And Brighton will play from the back with their left centre-half here, Igor, who made it to the Conference League final last season at Fiorentina, where they were beaten by West Ham before making his move to England to play for Brighton. As Hinshelwood plays a ball down the right-hand side. What a great ball that is to Simon Adingra. One-on-one with Tyreek Mitchell in the final third. Tries to chop onto the inside. He's been stopped in his tracks by Mitchell, but he's kept the ball, Adingra. And it goes back towards halfway here to Van Hecke as Brighton keep possession. Really good ball there from the 18-year-old Jack Hinshelwood, who got his first goal in professional football a couple of games ago in the home win they picked up against Brentford at the start of the month. And every time I've watched Jack Hinshelwood this season, he's been very impressive. I thought he was really good when they went away and played AEK Athens in the Europa League, a game we commentated on this channel. You know, for such an occasion to go to, you know, a European away game in Greece and to play the way he did in the left-back position, I thought was fantastic. Brighton have got the ball inside their own 18-yard box with their goalkeeper Verbruggen, who is yet to keep a clean sheet in the Premier League this season, and to be fair, so is Jason Steele. Brighton still haven't kept a clean sheet in the Premier League all season, and we're 17 games in. That has got to be something that needs to be addressed by De Zerbi, as the Hinshelwood ball forward towards João Pedro's cut out by Mark Gay. Left-footed ball forward, finds Jordan Ayew, who's back from suspension today after missing the City game due to his red card against Liverpool, as Richards goes backwards there and it's intercepted by João Pedro on the Brighton right. He slows the game down, goes back here to Hinshelwood, then forward to João Pedro, then all the way back to the halfway line to Van Hecke. It's now Dunk in the centre circle, to his left to the number 3, Igor. Completes a 1-2 with Gilmour. Igor back into Lewis Dunk. Forward in between the lines on the ball, that is. Finds João Pedro in a bit of space. Lays it off to Pascal Gross. To his left on this near side, and it's Matoma outside the box. He goes in the box with a pass to Gross. Squares it towards Baleba, who loses out to Lerma. And then there's a tackle there on Hinshelwood, which is a fair one. And Brighton have won it back right on the edge of the 18-yard box as Pascal Gross goes for a swing and a shot. The referee doesn't see a deflection, and it's going to be a goal kick. Pascal Gross disagrees. He believed that took a nick on the way through. The referee tonight, John Brooks, had different ideas, and he's given a goal kick. First shot of the game there. It was a chance that was well generated through the pass by Lewis Dunk at the beginning of it to find João Pedro. And then Pascal Gross was the one who had the shot in the end, but couldn't direct it on target, as this is the first time both of these managers have faced each other in the career. Last season, Crystal Palace played Brighton under Patrick Vieira before his sacking, where Roy Hodgson came back into the club. As aerially, Hinshelwood went over Jordan Ayew there and nearly flipped in a full 360 way, but he was caught before he fell, and it'll be a Crystal Palace throw-in on the far side. On the halfway line, thrown back into their own half here to number 6, Mark Gay, who's making his 90th appearance in the Premier League tonight as Dean Henderson clears it away into the Brighton half. It goes over the head of Igor, and it'll be dunked, play out to the left of Matoma. Good touch on the halfway line. He goes back into Igor here. He looks to be playing left back when they're out of possession, Brighton. And then when they're in possession, they go to a back three with Van Hecke, Duncan, Igor, as Gross goes around the corner to João Pedro. And just inside the Crystal Palace half, he's been caught offside there, the Brazilian, for Brighton. He's had a great start to his Brighton career. João Pedro, he's got the 5 goals in the Premier League, 11 in all competitions. He got 6 in 6 in the Europa League. He only failed to score in 1 game in the Europa League in the 6 they played, and that was away at Ajax. So he's been a superb signing, 30 million from Watford. It's with the right back, Nathaniel Klein. Anderson goes across his 18-yard box and finds centre-back partner Gay. He plays it to Richards. Down the Crystal Palace left, laid off by Ayew into Gay. Back into Ayew, down the left-hand side. Passes the halfway line. He's got Baleba chasing him from behind, but Ayew will just keep running forward here. Into the final third. He can't get beyond Hinshelwood. Baleba goes down on a foul, which seemed a bit innocuous. And he's holding his right leg here. Carlos Baleba, joined in the summer from Lille for just over £23 million. Jordan Ayew kept running. He tried to go on the inside there of Hinshelwood, who got a nick on the ball and took it away from Ayew. And then I think as he was running inside, Baleba was running behind him as well, and he's just caught the back of Baleba's right leg there. Jordan Ayew, I think he's okay to continue. Scraped the back of his leg there with these studs, not on purpose. He was just running. Baleba just went across Ayew, so he went in front of him, so he couldn't really put his studs anywhere else. It wasn't a purposeful one, but I think Baleba's okay. He's moving a little bit gingerly as Brighton play out from the back here with Lewis Dunk into the path of Igor on the halfway. On this near side, goes inside to João Pedro. Can't quite get away from Gay. Good tackle from the former Chelsea defender, and it's now Elise on the ball, who tries to go backwards, cut out by Gross. And it'll be a throw-in for Palace on this near side. And there is Michael Elise for Crystal Palace. Missed a lot at the start of the season with a hamstring injury. He returned against Everton in mid-November. And he's got 2 goals now in the Premier League, both away from home. A corker against Luton and then a clutch penalty against Manchester City at the weekend as he's here on the ball. Lays it off to Hughes into Lerma. Out to the left to Gay, who will dribble up to the halfway line, and he plays it forward to Ayew, returns it to Gay. Not much press here from Brighton. It's Will Hughes in the midfield. He goes back to goal. So goes into the Crystal Palace half here with Richards. The number 26, formerly of Bayern Munich, Chris Richards, the team he was signed from in July of 2022 for £11 million. As in a left-back position, he's got the ball. Clips it down the line. It's a high one. It's a header won by Hinshelwood. And it'll drop to Gilmore, who will just lay it off backwards to Dunk. Midway inside the Brighton half, the away team have got the possession. Something they like to have, Brighton. They had the majority of the ball against Arsenal. I say the majority. They had 52% of the ball, which is more than Arsenal, which is rare for an Arteta team to not have more of the ball. As they broke out to the left-hand side here, Brighton. Matoma in the 18-yard area, far left-hand side, lays it off to Gross, who's got Elise closing him down, but he gets it back to Matoma, who goes into Igor, who's getting forward from left-back. Baleba forced to go backwards as he's being closed down there by Ayew and Hughes. And we're back in the Brighton half here with Dunk. Crystal Palace push up the field. So left centre-half, Igor. Back to Dunk. It's now Van Hecke. Back into the 18-yard area to Verbruggen. Good pressing here from Crystal Palace to force Brighton backwards. And it's now with Dunk. He's going to go for a ball down the left-hand side. Look for the run of Matoma. It'll go through towards Dean Henderson, and it can be seen through by Nathaniel Klein. And it'll be Dean Henderson now on the ball for Crystal Palace. And a 5-year contract here at Crystal Palace. Dean Henderson, the 26-year-old, signed for £20 million from Manchester United, and he's currently in for the injured Sam Johnston, who had a good start to the season, keeping 5 clean sheets. Now with left centre-back Gay, just inside the 18-yard area for Crystal Palace. He switches it high towards Lerma, nods it down here to Joachim Andersen. You'll find Lerma in a right-back position on this near side. Down the line to the right-back Klein. Andersen, ball forward to Elise on halfway, dragged down by Baleba. It'll be a free kick for Crystal Palace. Well won there by the number 7, Michael Elise. Sorry, I've not started the timer. Apologies. They've switched it out to the far side with Tyreek Mitchell into Gay, into the feet of Dean Henderson. Anderson forward to Elise on the halfway line. He gets away from Baleba. He's got Igor trying to tackle him, but he can curl it out to the left-hand side to Ayew. Really good ball from Elise. Mitchell's bombing forward from fullback. Ayew put an early cross in himself, which can be caught by Verbruggen. Good goalkeeping from the Dutchman. About 6'5", the Brighton goalkeeper. And he was able to catch that quite easily in the end. On the edge of the 18-yard box with Jan-Paul van Hekke, who was at the European Championships in the summer for the Dutch under-21s. And he's making his first ever appearance against Crystal Palace for Brighton. Was on the bench last season when they met each other, and he put a ball over the top. João Pedro goes over the challenge of Mark Gay. I think the referee saw that as a bit more of a 50-50. And the play continues. It's with Crystal Palace inside their own half. To Gay, been closed down by Pedro, goes forward to Ayew, got his back towards the Brighton goal, and his ball across towards Lerma, goes straight to Mitoma. Gilmour, forward towards Pedro, cut out by Ayew. Good recovery there, but then he's lost it again. Jordan Ayew, and it's now Brighton on the ball inside the Crystal Palace half. It's with Billy Gilmour. Van Hekke. With Lewis Dunk. He plays the ball forward again in between the lines. It's so good from Lewis Dunk, finding Pascal Gross. Hinshelwood furthers right to Dingra in the final third. One-on-one with Mitchell. Onto his left foot. Lays it off to the edge of the box to Van Hekke, who crosses. Volleyed by Anderson. Controlled by Richards. Cleared forward by Mitchell. Finds Mateta, who gets away from Baleba. Drifted out to the left-hand side here. Mateta. And he plays it back to Mitchell. Inside to Ayew. Pokes it into Hughes. Well played here from Crystal Palace. Ball out to the right, in behind, Billy Gilmour, Elise in the box, squares it towards Mateta, sliced away by Van Hekke, needs to be cleared, the last touch comes off Jordan Ayew, and it'll be a goal kick. And that's the first real chance of excitement in the game. Bit of an off-your-seat ball there from Lerma to find Elise in behind Billy Gilmour. Really good pass, but the cut back from Elise wasn't great in all honesty. It went behind Mateta, and it can be dealt with by Van Hekke in the end. Do apologise for the noise. As Brighton have got it on their right-hand side here with a Dingra on the halfway line. Finds Hinshelwood. A Dingra back into Van Hekke. Gilmour forward to Baleba. Just caught there from behind from Hughes. It'll be a free kick just inside the centre circle in the Crystal Palace half for Brighton, as they've already got it out to the left-hand side to Mitoma. Finds Gross. He goes back towards Mitoma. Overhits the touch. Tackle by Anderson. It's now on the edge of the 18-yard box for Lerma. Now Anderson again, the number 16. Klein at right back. Plays it down the right channel. Can't find Elise. Last touch comes off Dunk as it goes for a throw-in. But Dunk was just pulled back there by Mateta, and it'll be a free kick for the away side. Van Hekke on halfway. Forward towards Gross, cut out by Richards. Now works out to the right-hand side here to Elise, who ventures into the Brighton half. He makes a pass to Lerma, who tries to backheel it into the run of Nathaniel Klein, cut out by Gilmour. It'll be a throw-in midway side the Brighton half for Crystal Palace. It's a big throw back to the halfway line to restart with Joachim Andersen. He's got the 2 goals this season, the Danish centre-half, against Brentford, and most recently against Manchester United in the 1-0 win at Old Trafford in September, as he plays a wild ball forward down the Palace right, and it'll go straight through for a goal kick. No one's going to be chasing that one. Well overcooked by Joachim Andersen, who's making his 90th Crystal Palace appearance since joining in July of 2021 from Lyon. Obviously had the loan spell at Fulham the season before. Just hit the 15th minute. Not really had any chances. No goalkeeper's been called into action. I mean, we've had a catch from Verbruggen, but it's one you'd expect. And then that chance where Brighton were found with a hole in their defence, the ball from Lerma in behind to Elise was a good ball, but Elise's cut back, couldn't find Mateta in the 18-yard area. So we are still waiting for a first attempt at goal to try and test one of these goalkeepers. Like I say, Brighton still haven't kept a clean sheet this season in the Premier League, despite keeping 4 in their last 4 in the Europa League. As it is the away team in the possession, as they like to be, more often than not. Brighton playing their 25th game already this season. De Zerbi's men, obviously with their involvement in the Europa League, as Mitoma's ball over the top, finds Hinshelwood in the 18-yard area, dribbled outside the area to the left-hand side. It's now with Mitoma, playing it through towards Gross on the angle, again back to goal, so he's looking for his options. He tries to turn, but he's tackled by Gay, and it falls back to Mitoma. He finds Igor, who's got forward from defence here for Brighton, about 25 yards out, squares a pass to his right to Dunk. He's on the edge of the centre circle in the Palace half. Plays it to the right to Van Hecker. Returns it to number 5, Lewis Dunk, who's playing his 15th game against Crystal Palace today. Was sent off here in October 2020. As the ball out to the left-hand side to Gross. The cross from him's cut out, but then it's won back by Baleba, but then it's lost to Nathaniel Klein, who then beats Igor to it, and the ball is sent towards the Brighton right, where it'll be recovered here by Jan-Paul Van Hecker. It's Brighton on the ball once again. Adingra. Brighton undefeated in their last 4 against Crystal Palace. As Adingra wins a free kick there, just inside the opposition half there. Being doubled up on by Jordan Ayew and Tyreek Mitchell on the Palace left. As we restart in the centre circle with Dunk. Furthest left there is Mitoma, about 10 yards inside the Palace half. Returns it to the Brazilian central defender, Igor. Baleba. Into Van Hecker. A lot of passes between the back 3 here of Brighton. Just waiting for that time and the space to play it through to João Pedro, which has been done there by Igor, but the ball towards Pascal Gross is loose, but he wins it back from Elise. And Brighton have it again. It's all about patience when it comes to Brighton playing. They're just waiting for those gaps to play those balls in between the lines. When you get it in between the lines of the defence and then the midfield, it's kind of that space in between them two. As the ball through to Adingra on the right-hand side in the box. He shapes up to shoot. It's saved by Dean Henderson. Pushed straight out to Pascal Gross, who can't strike it. But Baleba will. And it's a wild strike wide. And that's the first few attempts at goal, which is, worried a goalkeeper. It was a ball forward by Igor. It was towards Hinshelwood, but it went away from him and Mitchell straight through to Adingra in the box, who on his right foot shot a cross goal quite close to Dean Henderson, so it's a save you'd expect him to make. But he did push it out back into danger, but that danger was diffused quickly by Crystal Palace, and it remains 0-0, but a first big chance of the game, and it falls to Simon Adingra, who has got the 4 goals so far in the Premier League, 1 in his last 5 against Burnley. Did bag the 1 goal in the Europa League as well against Ajax. Away from home. So we're 19 minutes in here at Selhurst Park. It's still 0-0. Palace are yet to really trouble Bart Verbruggen. And Brighton have just given a question mark to Dean Henderson as Gross down the left-hand side. Mitoma will chase it. He will keep it in on the byline, but Nathaniel Klein will come in and take the ball away from him, and he'll clear it. Only as far as Igor for Brighton. As it's Dunk on halfway. Now Igor again, across to Van Hecke. Igor again, forward to João Pedro. Deflects back to Igor, so Brighton will just start again with Dunk. Forward to Baleba. Gilmour, back to Dunk. Very quick passing here from Brighton when they're being closed down. But they're being pressed here, and they've been forced back by the press of Mateta to their goalkeeper Verbruggen. Just taking his time here. The Brighton goalkeeper in a full yellow kit tonight, as he'll go long this time. Over the top of the Palace defence, looking for a Dingra who can't quite get away from Tyreek Mitchell, and the ball will be collected by Dean Henderson, who himself is in a full purple strip tonight. As he's got it in the 6-yard area, goes to his right here to Anderson. He's going to be closed down here by Gross. Goes to right back Nathaniel Klein, who tried to turn and clear, and he finds Elise in a right wing position. He's been tackled though by Gilmour, and Brighton will win it in the Palace half through the Brazilian centre back. It goes across to Van Hecke. Hey Zach, I have a feeling I know who that might be. But if you enjoy, make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. Next commentary is on Saturday night. Roma taking on Napoli. So make sure you're there for that one. As I mentioned before, Crystal Palace without a win in 6. They've not won since the 4th of November when they beat Burnley away from home 2-0. They've only collected 5 points from a possible 24 at home, Crystal Palace, which isn't great at all. Just the 1 win at home, which came against Wolves back in September. So it's Palace in possession inside their own half here with centre-half Joachim Andersen, who's still yet to win himself in this fixture, but has drawn 4 times against Brighton. As the ball forward to Elise was a good one, but his touch was not great, and it gives the ball back to Brighton with Gilmour midway inside his own half. Goes into Lewis Dunk, who goes into number 11, Billy Gilmour, who, when I was reading up on him, his midfield role models growing up was Fabregas, Modric, Iniesta, which isn't a bad 3 to try and base your game on or look for as inspiration. And he's a fantastic midfielder, Gilmour. I am really surprised Chelsea let him go, because he's definitely starting to flourish in this Brighton team, as they play out from the back really well. Gross on halfway out to the left to Mitoma, charging towards the final third. Mitoma's tackled by Klein. The ball deflects a couple of times off him and Lerma, and eventually it drops back to Klein, who will go to Elise in a right wing position for the home side. On halfway, inside to Mateta. Elise making a run down the line, and he finds him in the final third now. 1-on-1 with Igor. Not many bodies in the box for Elise, as he wants to get onto his left foot if possible. Onto his left foot he does. He shoots. It's blocked by Igor. Gets nowhere near the Brighton goalkeeper, but it's kept alive here by Klein, who's got forward from right back. Anderson goes all the way back to the halfway line here to Gay. Can they try and create a chance for a shot here? Well, a dangerous one. We know Elise just had a shot in the box, but it was easily blocked by Igor. And here is the number 7, Elise, which I didn't know before this game, when I was researching the players, that Michael Elise was once at Manchester City at the academy from 2016 to 2017. He was also at Arsenal at the age of 8, spent 7 years at Chelsea as well. I didn't know he spent time at Manchester City, Michael Elise. 23.5 minutes in, still 0-0. Only main shot we've had came about 5 minutes ago through Simon Adingra, and it was saved by Dean Henderson, who was going across goal from Adingra, but couldn't quite find the corners. So it's an easy save for Dean Henderson. And it's on the far side here with Ayew, dribbling back into his own half, getting away from Hinshelwood. It's now Mitchell, the left back, into Gay. He goes into his 18-yard box here to Henderson. Goes back to Gay, who turns, plays it down the left-hand side, finds Jordan Ayew, who gets away from Hinshelwood. No, he doesn't get away from Hinshelwood. Slide tackle from the 18-year-old, doesn't win the ball. Free kick in the left-back area for the home side, won by Jordan Ayew, who picked up his first red card for Palace in that 2-1 defeat to Liverpool, which made him miss the Manchester City game, but he's straight back in from the start tonight. is Elise. Goes down the line to Anderson, who's got forward from centre-back. His ball inside, looking for Mateta, who's gone off the back of his heel. And straight back for Brighton with their goalkeeper Verbruggen. Now Van Hecker in the 18-yard area. Goes across to number 5, Lewis Dunk, Brighton-born centre-half. The captain tonight, 32 years of age now, Lewis Dunk. As it is number 29, Van Hecker. Making his 8th start in a row in the Premier League. The Brighton centre-half, he only made 3 starts in the whole of last season in the Premier League against Leicester, Newcastle and Manchester City. As Baleba switches it out to the left, finds Matoma, brings it down beautifully and plays it down the line for Gross. Back into Matoma on this near side. Tackled too easily though by Anderson. Finds Lerma on the edge of the 18-yard box. The Colombian will try and drive forward, but can't quite do so. Green and black shirts in his way. It's now over Elise, tackled by Matoma, and that'll be a throw-in for the home side. On this near touch line here. As it still remains 0-0. In the history of the fixture, it's the 110th meeting. Palace have won 38 and Brighton have won 41. So Brighton have the upper hand on the historic head-to-head. But more recently, there have been a lot more draws than wins in this fixture. As it's still with Brighton inside their own half here with Adingra. He tries to go backwards, but Tyreek Mitchell nicks it off him. Plays it forward to Mateta. 25 yards out. Will he pull the trigger? Yes, he will. And it's straight down the throat of Bart Verbruggen. Easy save for the Dutch goalkeeper. Mateta lucky for his 3rd goal in a row. Scored in Palace's last 2 against Liverpool and Manchester City. Couldn't quite make it 3-3. Easy save for the goalkeeper. As Hinshelwood goes forward towards Adingra as it was dummied by Pedro. Dealt with by Gay on the edge of the Palace penalty area. And here's Dean Henderson venturing out of his box to clear the ball down the Palace right. Free header for Igor, who goes inside to Gilmour. Forward to João Pedro, lays it off to Baleba on the halfway line. Out to the right-hand side to Hinshelwood. Goes back into Van Hecker. Now Gilmour, can he work his magic? He sprays it out to the left-hand side. It's header away by Klein, but only to the head of Matoma, who's headed backwards. Doesn't find Igor, collected by Elise. Klein down the line. It's been stopped by Igor, throwing for Crystal Palace and Nathaniel Klein. Interestingly enough for Nathaniel Klein, he's yet to beat Brighton as well. He did play them in the Championship in January of 2012, Nathaniel Klein. So, it shows how long he's been in the game for. Nathaniel Klein. Very experienced right back now. Former Southampton and Liverpool full-back. Was at Palace before this spell. He was at the club from 99 to 2012. Before obviously going on his adventures to Southampton and Liverpool. Before being replaced at Liverpool by Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back in the end. As it's a free kick on halfway for Brighton. Mateta pulling back Baleba, and then he's booked for kicking the ball away. That is so stupid from Jean-Philippe Mateta. You know, the players know the rules now. Just don't kick the ball away. Just leave the ball. You don't need to kick it away like he did. And the booking came out from John Brooks there. So Mateta's on a booking. It's his 2nd of the season. He won't be missing Boxing Day. I say Boxing Day. Palace's next game is on the 27th against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. But saw on social media tonight the list of the players who are one booking away from missing the festive game if they're being played on the 26th or the 27th. It's now a free kick for Palace, sent out to the right-hand side by Anderson. Brought down by Elise in the final third. Lerma's making a run forward. He goes backwards instead here to Klein. Back into Elise. Anderson on halfway, being pressed by Gross. He plays it forward towards Richards, who slips, and it means João Pedro can take the ball away. And he's sprinting down the Brighton left. He's looking for his options. To his right, he goes backwards instead to Igor. So one Brazilian to another, and Brighton keep the possession. Just under half an hour in, still 0-0 here. Both teams have had a shot each, but neither really testing the keepers. Van Hecker. Inside to Gilmour, midway side the Palace half. Plays it forward to Baleba. Out to the right to Adingra. Down the line to Hinshelwood. Can't take on Gay, but the ball does drop to Adingra, who will cross it before it goes out of play, and it's dealt with by Anderson as he goes over the challenge of João Pedro. And that'll be a free kick in the 18-yard box for Crystal Palace. Well won there by Joachim Anderson. Just to relieve the pressure for Crystal Palace. So it'll be Dean Henderson to take. Obviously, he might have a run in the team now, Dean Henderson, with Sam Johnston's injury. And Dean Henderson hasn't received an England call-up now for over a year. His last one was in September 2022. Maybe a run in the team. Might see him back in the England setup as the third choice, because obviously we've got no Nick Pope now for the next couple of months. Mitchell forward and through to Hughes. Brought down on the edge of the 18-yard area. And Baleba will receive a booking. I don't think the flag went up there. That's interesting. Dunk's arguing that case. So the ball was played through there to Will Hughes, who was then just pulled down by Baleba on the left-hand side of the box. So it was on a bit of an angle here. I thought that Hughes was in an offside position, but obviously the linesman's not given that, and it will be a free kick in the final third here for Palace. Again, really on the angle on the left-hand side. The left foot of Elise is over it, with Ayew as well, who's a right-footed option. But I'd like to see if Hughes was offside there or not, because the Brighton players had their arms up asking for the offside. It never came, and now they've conceded a free kick in quite a dangerous position now. So Elise is the only one over it here now for Palace. Mitchell's on the edge of the box. Elise will cross it, headed away to the near post by João Pedro, drops to the edge of the box to Hughes, who works it out towards the left-hand side now to Mitchell. Finds Elise. On his right foot, he'll recycle the ball in with a cross, which is headed on by Van Hecker, wide of the post, and that'll be a corner kick for Brighton on the near side. Don't think we've had a corner yet. Just the first corner of the game. And it will go to Crystal Palace. It's not wide. It's not far wide, there by Van Hecker with his header away from goal. I say away from goal. It nearly curled into the back of the net. But his header away from the danger in the box. Elise, in-swinger. Right the way through where it bounces off, I think, the foot of Ayew. Straight into the hands of Verbruggen. And let's see that one again. Elise with a good in-swinging ball. Yep, just bounced off the top of the foot of Ayew on the 6-yard line. Didn't know anything about it. Just bounced off him. No pace on it at all, so an easy catch for Verbruggen. But if Ayew had some kind of idea the ball was coming towards him and he could have maybe swung his foot at it, might have been a different story there. As Brighton try and counter-attack. Hinshelwood with the switch. Drops to Elise. Doesn't find Matoma. And it's now Palace in the right-back area here with Klein. Edge of the 18-yard box to Anderson. Goes backwards once more here to Dean Henderson. To the left centre half of Gay. Lifted ball forward down the line, looking for Ayew. Chested down nicely. Keeps it away from Hinshelwood. Good run here from Ayew, driving on the inside. Wanting to get the switch off to Elise, and he'll find him. Great play from Ayew. Elise, the Frenchman, one-on-one with the Brazilian Igor. Slips it through to Mateta, who tries to shoot. It's blocked by Dunk. It'll be kept in by Dunk. And he'll be tackled by Mateta. What a challenge that is. He squares it, blocked at the near post by Baleba, and eventually poked away from Mateta. And it'll be picked up here on halfway by Anderson. Down the line it goes to Elise. It will find its way back to Anderson. But that was a little bit of danger there for Brighton. Lewis Dunk, who usually deals with those situations a lot better than that, was just caught in a left-back position. Tried to dribble away from Mateta, who got a clean tackle to win the ball back. As Klein tries to go down the line himself, cut out by Igor. As the throw in midway side of the Brighton half on this near side will be Thrown back here to the centre-half, Joachim Andersen. Played all the minutes at the World Cup last year for Denmark. Joachim Andersen has a ball forward towards the midfield of Richards. Has been kept alive there. To Mitchell at left back, whose ball high up towards Mateta has been brought down. The flag stays down once again. He's not got many options with him though, Mateta, as he works it to the right to Klein. Towards the halfway line here, Klein goes back to Andersen, then forward to Richards, who can turn, assess his options, tries to play out to the right, cut out by Matoma, but then he wins it back, Richards, into Mateta, edge of the box, back to goal, gets it to the left though to Ayew. Not a great touch, but it's still under his spell here. Jordan Ayew in the box, cuts it through towards Richards, it deflects towards Mateta, who strikes, blocked by Gilmour, Elise shoots, blocked by Baleba, edge of the box again, Klein, out to the right to Elise, it's Palace the team who are progressing forward with the chances. Elise tackled fairly there by Gross. And then brought down Gross then brought down by Elise. And it'll be a free kick for Brighton. But some real positive play there. Good cut back from Ayew. Trying to find Richards. That was blocked by Van Hecke. And then Mateta and Elise had shots of their own, which were both blocked. And eventually Gross won his free kick. Yeah, it was stopped by Van Hecke at the near post from the original Ayew cut back. That was good from Van Hecke. Good block from Gilmour. And then the Elise shot was dealt with by Baleba. So on the line, stuff there from Brighton. As it's their goalkeeper Verbruggen on the ball. To the left to Dunk. Igor in the defensive third still here for Brighton. The goalkeeper Verbruggen, who reached the Conference League quarter-finals last season with Anderlecht before making his summer move to Brighton. The giant goalkeeper in between the sticks tonight for Brighton. It's Gilmour in the centre circle on halfway. Goes to his left here to Igor. Mitoma's got everything to his right here. The Japanese winger tries to play into the path of Gross. It's overhit. Cut out by Andersen. His pass is too heavy. One back for Brighton by Igor. Now Gilmour looking out to the right-hand side. Cut out by Mitchell. Loose ball drops to Pedro, whose header out wide finds Ayew for Palace, who gets away from Hinshelwood. And the first challenge of Adingra. Still with Ayew on the far side. He goes back here to Mark Gay. As Roy Hodgson is overseeing his 192nd game as Palace manager. 2 spells with the club. A couple of spells at the club for Crystal Palace. Roy Hodgson, his first ever win for them, coming at home against Chelsea back in October 2017. Obviously previously managed England as well, Roy Hodgson, for 56 games after leaving with the disappointment of the Euros in 2016. Nearly 8 years on now, we're about to hit Euros 2024. I'm sure some of these players will be wanting to get into the teams for their countries. Likes of Lewis Dunk, he'd like to be on the plane for England. I'm sure Billy Gilmour will be on that Scotland plane as well. And it's Igor, the centre-back, inside the Brighton half. Goes to the right to Van Hecke. Forward and wide to Hinshelwood. Turns away from from Ayew. Finds Baleba on halfway. The Cameroon international. Finds Gilmour to the left to Gross. He's got Matoma with him. Finds him. Matoma running at Klein here. Edge of the box. Plays a pass to Pedro, who needs to help it on once more. Can he release it? No, he can't. He's brought down on the edge. Cleared by Gay. Can't find Mateta. Dunk out to the right to Adingra in the final third. He needs to work across here if possible, the Ivorian. Adingra does cross. It's a low one. It's dealt with by Gay. He needs to clear. He'll pass it out instead to the left to Ayew. He's running here at Hinshelwood. He's going to keep running here, Ayew. Can't get in between Baleba and Hinshelwood. No free kick one. Brighton back in possession once again. Baleba just inside the Palace half. Sorry. Van Hecke. Square ball to Gilmour, whose touch wasn't great. Pickpocketed by Hughes. Elise now running forward into the Brighton half. He's got Mateta to his right. Lerma to the left. Plays it to Lerma, who tries to square the ball. Can't find Mateta. And it's dealt with by Verbruggen, who can catch and keep it for Brighton. Pull that from Gilmour. He's usually so much better than that with keeping the possession. Palace tried to break. Elise found Lerma in the box. And I think his cutback took a deflection off Van Hecke, which gave an easy collection in the end for Verbruggen. It's now with Pascal Gross, who's drifted out to the left-hand side here. Just about enters the Palace half, goes forward to Mitoma, again in the final third, a little bit isolated there with Nathaniel Klein. Can he take him on? No, he can't. But the tackle from Klein drops straight to Pascal Gross, who will strike it from afar, and it had to be saved by Dean Henderson. Palms it away, drops towards Mitoma, who's tackled strongly by Nathaniel Klein. And it'll be a throw for Brighton on the near side. Like I say, Mitoma completely lost the ball there, but then the poke away from Klein went straight to Pascal Gross, the German international. From around 22 yards out, let fly towards the top left corner, but it was saved by Dean Henderson. Again, it's one that you'd probably expect him to make, but it's still an impressive one nonetheless. That's midway inside the Palace half. Beleba. Gilmour goes back to Dunk. Igor on the left side for Brighton. Forward to Hinshelwood, who drifted out from the right-hand side over towards the left. Lays it off to Gross. 1-2 with Mitoma. Gross is pass inside, looking for Hinshelwood, deflects away for a throw-in for the away side, right next to the corner flag here. As Mitoma throws it quickly to Igor. It's now with Gilmour. Beleba goes back to the halfway line here to Lewis Dunk. But yeah, it's really not been great for Brighton recently in the Premier League. 2 wins in their last 11 league games, hence why they're sitting in 9th. Their 2 wins in those 11 came against Forest on the 25th of November and then Brentford at home on the 6th of December. Picking up 5 draws in that run, 4 of them being 1-1 draws as Billy Gilmour's dispossessed there by Richards. Elise runs out of room on the Palace right and it'll be thrown on halfway for Brighton. Taken quickly here to Gilmour, who goes deep into his own half here with a pass to Dunk. Squares a pass across to the right to Van Hecker. Hinshelwood driving forward from the halfway line. He's got Adingra there with him and he finds the Ivorian. He's got everything to his left here, number 24, who will work across towards the near post. Touched by Pedro, sends him wide. Plays it back to Adingra, whose touch gets away from him on the corner flag. It'll be a throw-in on the far side for Crystal Palace. And there is Roy Hodgson watching on. Age of 76 now. 76 years old, Roy Hodgson. Absolutely crazy. He's been managing for 47 years. Roy Hodgson. Absolutely unbelievable career. You'd hope at some point, for his own sake, that he might give it a rest at some point. Actually retire and stay retired. But obviously he's absolutely addicted to football, which you love to see. Got the 8 honours in his career, Roy Hodgson. 4 Swedish titles with Malmo and Halmstads. So he has had a bit of success in his career. Usually away from England, his success has been, in terms of trophies anyway. Brighton have got a throw-in. Palace have got a throw-in, sorry. Midway inside their own half on the far side with number 3, Tyreek Mitchell, who has tasted victory in this fixture, away from home in February 2021. As Ayew goes over the challenge of Hinshelwood, and it'll be a free kick just inside the Palace half for the home team. Who haven't won at home in their last 6 in the league, but they do have the likes of Abere Eze to come on off the bench. The number 10 for Crystal Palace, as Palace have given it away themselves. It's a Mitoma, ball forward to Pedro, first time out wide left to Gross. Has to go back though as he's been closed down by Elise, and it's now with Gilmour. Got 40 yards from goal here, the Scotsman. Here is Igor. Furthest left is Gross, who will put an early cross in. It's an in-swinger looking towards goal, where it just goes beyond Hinshelwood. And it'll be an easy catch in the end for Dean Henderson. Just on the angle there, Gross, right-footed ball, swinging in towards goal, and yeah, just avoided Hinshelwood on the 6-yard line. He went for it, but definitely couldn't quite get contact on it. Easy catch in the end for Henderson, who's still got the ball in his hands here. And he'll kick it long into the Brighton half towards Mateta, as it'll bounce onto the thigh of Mateta, who then loses out to Beleba. Matoma backwards into Igor. Across to Van Hecker on the edge of the 18-yard box, who turns to go forward and plays it forward. Baleba touches loose. Picked up by Lerma in the Brighton half. It's now with Ayew driving forward. Into the final third we go. He's got 3 bodies in the box to aim for. He'll try the cross, but that's completely miscued. It goes right across to the Crystal Palace right-hand side. It'll be collected for Brighton by Igor, who takes on Elise into the 18-yard box. He squares it across to Van Hecker. He finds Gross in a left-back position. He's got Verbruggen available, and he plays it to the goalkeeper, who hesitates, and his clearance isn't great. Comes off the head of Elise for Hughes. Back out to the right to Elise, who will curl across in to Jordan Ayew! And Crystal Palace take the lead as we hit the 45th minute. It's a shocking giveaway from Bart Verbruggen in the Brighton goal. And as we are playing the 18th game in the Premier League, Brighton, once again, will not keep a clean sheet. It's such a bad giveaway. Gross goes back to his goalkeeper, Verbruggen, who was looking for an option. He wanted to go to the right-hand side. That lane was cut off, so went back onto his left foot, and the clearance wasn't great. It lacked confidence. It's almost like he didn't believe he could clear it with his weaker left foot. And it fell to Elise eventually, who could cross to the far post, and Hinshelwood lost his man of Ayew, who had a free header at the far post, about 6 yards out. He headed it down low into the bottom left corner. Absolutely no chance for Verbruggen, who couldn't make up for his error. And right on half-time, it's Crystal Palace 1, Brighton 0. Jordan Ayew with the goal. And what a moment for Jordan Ayew, who returns with a goal after suspension when he picked up his red card in the last home game for Crystal Palace against Liverpool. But it is all thanks to Bart Verbruggen in the Brighton goal, who just gifted the ball to Crystal Palace so high into their own half as well. It's ludicrous goalkeeping, really. And Roberto De Zerbi will be absolutely furious with that. And once again, his team will not be keeping a clean sheet in the Premier League. 18 games now we've played this season and no clean sheet. That is absolutely diabolical from Brighton. Obviously something isn't clicking in the defensive department in the Premier League anyway, because in their last 4 Europa League games they've kept 4 clean sheets. As a minute was added on, but the goal literally was scored a couple seconds after the 45th minute. So I'm not sure when we'll play till. We've played 47 minutes now. So it's all waiting on the referee's whistle, which will be blown now. And at half-time, Crystal Palace will go into the break with the lead. Scored by number 9, Jordan Ayew, who bags his second Premier League goal of the season. It's his first since a consolation goal against Spurs at home on the 27th of October. And it's been a game which has been dominated by Brighton in terms of possession, but Palace have been able to work more shots at goal. And the goal came right at the end of the half. Brighton tried to play out from the back, and when the playing out from the back reached its limit, Verbruggen tried to clear with his left foot. It was poor, it was a bit wayward, straight off the head of Michael Elise, who completed a 1-2 with Hughes, and Elise eventually crossed the ball to the far post where, unmarked, Jordan Ayew had a header which he dispatched into the bottom left corner. And it means that Michael Elise assists once again in the Premier League. It's his 17th assist in the Premier League and his 70th game in the competition. Elise was known for his assist making last season. He got 11 assists in last season in the Premier League. Michael Elise finishing joint 4th in the assist makers list last season alongside Bukayo Saka. And it means at half-time, it's Crystal Palace 1, Brighton 0. In fairness, I think Brighton have had 2 decent chances at goal. Adingra in the 20th minute, going towards the bottom left corner. That was easily saved by Dean Henderson. And then the second attempt from Pascal Gross in around the 40th minute was also well saved. That was going towards the top left corner, but once again, it's a shot that you'd expect him to keep out of the goal. And then for Crystal Palace, they had a few cutback chances, but they weren't quite finding Mateta those cutbacks. It was either they were going behind Mateta or they were being cut out by the Brighton defenders. But when they were gifted a real opening, they took that opening and they scored really well. Like I say, Verbruggen's clearance deflected off the head of Elise, which dropped to Hughes, who went back out to the right-hand side to Michael Elise, whose in-swinging cross towards the goal fell perfectly onto the head of Jordan Ayew, who, like I say, unmarked as well. Obviously, Hinshaw would have been out of position because I don't think he would have expected to have done any defending there with Verbruggen on the ball. He would have expected that ball to go long. The ball didn't go long. And yeah, Hinshaw would out of position at right back. Ayew had a free header. And into the back of the net, he went for the number 9, who scores his second ever goal against Brighton. It's his first at home. His other goal against Brighton came at the Amex back in February of 2020. And Palace have a lead, which would take them up to 12th. It would leave Brighton low down in 9th on 26 points. And I definitely do think the Europa League has had a very negative effect on Brighton in terms of their Premier League form anyway. You know, this is their 18th game. This could be their 6th loss, you know, losing a third of their games already. In all of last season, they lost 12. And now they're nearly halfway towards that if they lose tonight. But just defensively is where they're going wrong. You know, going forward, they still look smooth. Don't get me wrong, they've not scored in the first half, but you can see the patterns of play there that they've got and how they try and score their goals. But that's now their 31st goal that they've conceded this season. And yeah, still no clean sheets in the league. I just think that's absolutely shocking, especially at this point in the season. Well, Crystal Palace won't mind. They take the lead. Like I say, they go up to 12th in the table. This would be their 5th win of the season. It'll only be their 2nd at home for Crystal Palace. Mentioned it before, but their only other home win was against Wolves in early September. And they've lost 5 at home. Crystal Palace against Arsenal, Spurs, Everton, Bournemouth and Liverpool. And they've been struggling to score at home as well. Palace, more importantly. That's only their 8th goal in the league at home in their 9th game at Selhurst Park. So it's definitely the goal scoring that's been the issue for the home side at home. But they've took the lead tonight. It's 1-0 and they've got to try and see it through if possible. But the other games, I don't even know what other games have got going on in the Premier League. I know Aston Villa take on Sheffield United tomorrow. Let's have a look. So yeah, Aston Villa take on Sheffield United. Got West Ham against Manchester United. Fulham, Burnley, Luton, Newcastle, Forest and Bournemouth, Spurs, Everton, Liverpool, Arsenal on Saturday at 5:30. That's going to be a very, very interesting encounter. And then Wolves take on Chelsea on Christmas Eve. I just find that bizarre. And then we've got the festive games with the Boxing Day games on the 27th, 28th, 30th, 31st, 1st of Jan, 2nd, and then a bit of a break for the FA Cup. So loads of football coming up now from now till just gone New Year, which no one can ever complain about. But the second half will be getting underway in about 10 minutes' time now. And hopefully, I mean, it's kind of looking like it might go that way, but this might not be a draw. These teams have only won once at this ground against each other. So Brighton have only won once away from home in March 2019 against Palace. And then Palace have only beat Brighton once at home in April 2018, twice away in February 2020 and 2021. But yeah, 5 of the last 8 games 1-1 draws. But I know I keep repeating it, but I just think that's insane. You know, 1-1 draws. You know, 4 of them at Selhurst Park as well, which kind of dictates on past records that, you know, this game's more than likely going to end 1-1, and it's right in the makings of a 1-1. You know, Palace have took the lead, then Brighton are going to come out in the second half wanting to equalise. But hopefully we get a winner. But we'll wait and see. But obviously we've also seen during the last few days about the Super League returning. With apparently the shutdown of it by UEFA was deemed unlawful by UEFA and FIFA. So they're trying to set it up again. And I've got a list here of clubs that have publicly rejected the new Super League format, and that is Manchester United, Manchester City, Tottenham, Chelsea, Celtic, Porto, Sevilla, Valencia, Atletico Madrid, Real Sociedad, Villarreal, Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund, PSG, Monaco, Inter Milan, AS Roma, Atalanta, Feyenoord. So that's a lot of big European clubs saying no, and I think that those clubs very much understood the reaction from the fans the last time around. I don't think any of the big clubs are going to get involved in that ever again. Too much to lose, I think, because the reaction when it first came around was obviously rightfully, shut it down completely, and the clubs who had accepted it almost, bricked it and went, no, we don't want to be a part of it. We're sorry, no, we didn't mean to, and then just start, and it's like, we saw you for what you were. Try to get into that Super League. I don't think it'll happen. Obviously, there's reports coming out now as well that the Champions League are going to scrap that new format they were going to bring in, which is basically the Super League, which I do find quite funny how they were trying to bring that in, because it is basically the Super League, the new format, where it's just a big table, and then the top 8 go through to the last 16 automatically, and then 9th to, I think, 25th or something is like a playoff round. So, UEFA is just as bad, because they were just trying to make the Super League format. But I think in the next couple of weeks we'll get more clarification of what's going on with the European football, and especially more importantly with the Champions League format. Will they go ahead with the big league table format, or will they continue the group stage format as well? And as well, I know it's not football related, but if you are into darts, has anyone seen that 16-year-old at the darts, by the way? Luke Littler. Absolutely crazy. Just watching him before we went live here. 16 years old, and he looks about 35. Well, it's just a great time for sports fans. I mean, if you're a football fan, you kind of just naturally like darts. I think everyone who I know who likes football is into the darts. And then when this time of year comes around and it's the World Championship for darts, and then you've got the unlimited amount of football as well that's also going on, it's just a great time. The end of December, going into New Year with the football and the darts. You cannot beat it at all. The second half will be getting underway in a couple of minutes' time as Crystal Palace have a 1-0 lead, scored in the 46th minute. Literally, the clock just ticked over 45 as the header was put in by Jordan Ayew. I think it's going to be a worry for Brighton that they're struggling so much in the league. This will be 2 wins in 12 if they don't win tonight. They've stayed 9th with a loss, and those Europa League spots are running away. There'd be a good 7 or 8 points off the European spots if they don't win tonight. They're well off the Conference League spots, really, and the Europa League, and I think minimum they'd want to be in the Europa League. I don't think Brighton would want to be in the Conference League after getting a taste of the Europa League this season. I mean, they could possibly get into the Europa League through the FA Cup, where they play Stoke away from home on the 6th of January, which isn't an easy game away at Stoke, and they're obviously under new management now. The Plymouth boss jumping ship to Stoke. Ryan Schumacher. I think it's Ryan Schumacher. I think it is. Yeah, left Plymouth for Stoke. Bit of an awkward one, I think. What's his name? Steven Schumacher, not Ryan. So close. Yeah, Steven Schumacher going to Stoke. Which is interesting because I think the two teams are quite close together in the Championship table, if I'm not mistaken. Plymouth are 16th and Stoke are 19th. So, a bit of a strange jump of ship by Steven Schumacher, but he's chose to go to Stoke. And they'll take on Brighton in the FA Cup third round in a couple of weeks' time. And for Crystal Palace, they'll be at home to Everton in the FA Cup on the 4th of Jan. Second half will be getting underway in a couple of minutes' time. As it looks like Danny Welbeck is going through a thorough warm-up at half-time, along with Facundo Buonanotte, as we could see some changes from the Seagulls, as obviously they didn't really have a great first half going forward. They were able to make a few openings, getting in between the lines, in between the line of the midfield and the defence. But, weren't looking too dangerous. Kaoru Matoma looked cold on the left-hand side. And I mean that not in a cool way. I mean cold in terms of he just didn't look like he could do anything against Nathaniel Klein. And Simon Adingra wasn't having much success on the right-hand side against Tyreek Mitchell. So they might have to try and keep going through the middle, the away side, because the wide players just aren't up to it at the minute. So I think we will get those substitutes. We're going to get exactly those two substitutes. So Danny Welbeck will come on, and Facundo Buonanotte, who's getting the last few words from James Milner, who's on the bench tonight for Brighton. Yeah, Simon Adingra is one of them who's coming off. There's one winger off. And who's the other one coming off? If it's Kaoru Matoma, then I've just explained why. The number 20 for Brighton, it's not. It's Carlos Baleba, the central midfielder. I thought I'd got that absolutely spot on then. Yeah, Simon Adingra wasn't having much fun on the right-hand side. And like I say, Kaoru Matoma's not having much on the left-hand side as well, in fairness. So Carlos Baleba off. And Simon Adingra for Danny Welbeck and Facundo Buonanotte. As it'll be Crystal Palace to not kick off. It's Brighton to kick off, kicking left to right. Crystal Palace right to left. And it's 1-0 to the home side. They've got a lead to protect, and when 5 of the last 8 games have been 1-1 draws, I am leaning towards a draw come the end of the 90 minutes, but we'll wait and see. A second goal for Palace could really, stretch the imagination. We could get a win here for one of the two teams. Didn't win last season. Crystal Palace, they've not won in the last 4 against Brighton. As Brighton are playing out from the back with Dunk. Forward and out to the left to Igor. Back inside to Gilmore. Down the line to Pedro. Can't quite keep himself away from Chris Richards, and he runs out of pitch on the far side. And it'll be a throw-in midway inside the Brighton half for Crystal Palace. With right back Nathaniel Klein. Take the throw in down the line, looking for Mateta, headed away by Igor, helped on by Gilmore and Pedro, headed forward by Klein, brought down by Hughes, ball inside to Richards, then forward to Elise, tries a 1-2 with Ayew, but it'll go to Lerma instead. Mitchell, first time pass to Elise, tries to square the ball in the box, Deflects off Van Hecker, and it'll be a corner kick on this near side. Really good football there from Crystal Palace. Some good first touch football there, which has got the Crystal Palace fans behind that goal. Well up for the second half. And can they get a quick fire second? I think it will be an outswinger from the left foot of Elise. It'll be a deeper one from the number 7, where Gay kicks it forward. It's a looper. It's a header by Lerma, ahead of Verbruggen. It'll drop to Jordan Ayew, who tries to work across on the right-hand side, but the flag had gone up there. It'll be a free kick for Brighton. Not sure who was offside there, so the ball went in. Gay kicked it forward. I think it was Lerma, who was in an offside position, but I don't think he was offside there. The flag stayed down for the moment and then eventually went up. But Lerma was the one who won the header out of the hands of Verbruggen. Palace are coming again here at Brighton. Mateta in the box, back to goal, lays it off to Lerma, who crosses towards the far post. Just gets away from Elise, but he will keep it in on the far side. He's one-on-one with Igor. Onto his left foot. Crosses, which deflects off the Brazilian. It loops into the box where Will Hughes and Pascal Gross kind of grab all hold of each other, and the ball goes through to the Brighton goalkeeper. Elise's ball in. Yeah, I think it was just a bit of both. Gross was holding Hughes. Hughes was holding Gross. I just don't think there's much in that as Lerma wins the ball off Welbeck. Forward to Mateta. Again, he's back to goal. It's what he does. He holds it up, the Frenchman. 6'4". And Ayew will be brought down on halfway there by Buonanotte. And Crystal Palace, who were 1-0 up, have made the better start in this second half. For sure, you'd think that Brighton might have come out, trying to put their mark on this game. Gay needs to hurry up and take this free kick here before he picks a booking up. Gay will clip it down the left-hand side, brought down by Ayew. Finds Mitchell, but the ball's gone out of play. And it'll be a throw-in for Brighton. Took too long to play the pass backwards there, Ayew. And then when he eventually did, he played it out of play. Buonanotte, ball inside to Gross. Beyond the halfway line, he's been cynically tripped by Hughes. And the play will be pulled back. And Will Hughes will go in the book himself. The Crystal Palace number 19, he knew exactly what he was doing. Gross had got away from him on halfway. And yeah, just clipped him there from behind. And that'll be a free kick. Making his 9th start in a row here. Will Hughes, after missing the first 3 games of the season. Not even in the matchday squad. So it'll be a Brighton free kick. It'll be taken by Pascal Gross. 40, 50 yards away from goal, but it's definitely an area to put a cross in the 18-yard area here. As Gross will cross it over the top. It's chested down by Pedro, but then took away from him by Mitchell. And it'll be a corner this time for Brighton on the near side. Clever play there from Gross to play it down the right channel. João Pedro was unmarked, lost his man of Lerma, and then won the corner there for his side. And it'll be a right-footed outswinger here from Pascal Gross, the German. In it goes near post, headed on by Welbeck. It's blocked. It drops back towards Welbeck. Palace trying to deal with it. Pedro heads it forward. It's caught by a Henderson. He's looking for his options for a counter-attack, and I don't think he's used one. Yeah, good header that from Welbeck towards goal, but it was even better with the block from Ayew in the 6-yard area. Welbeck had got away from Klein. Yeah, headed it towards goal. It was well blocked by Ayew. Needed to be. The kick forward by Henderson. It's a deep, deep one into the Brighton half, and it'll go straight through towards Verbruggen, who just meets it ahead of Mateta, and he'll eventually collect the ball there, the Brighton goalkeeper. Bit of hesitation as the ball went back towards him. Dunk left it for his goalkeeper. Mateta kept chasing, and Verbruggen had to be strong. And he eventually dealt with it as Buonanotte's driving forward here for Brighton. He's just slightly overran it, but the loose ball drops to João Pedro, who shoots. And that is seriously poor from the former Watford man. It is very high and very wide, and very much a goal kick for Crystal Palace. Actually, he's been in good goal-scoring form this season, João Pedro, 11 in 25 now for the season in all competitions. He's featured in every game this season for Brighton. But 6 of his 11 have been from the penalty spot. I think that's something you've got to bear in mind. Dean Henderson with the goal kick, headed forward by Van Hecke to the halfway line to João Pedro, who's headed to the left, finds Welbeck. He's been tackled from behind by Hughes, but he gets away from him. Still with Welbeck, who's tackled by Elise. Loose ball drops to Welbeck, so still in the possession of Brighton. That's with Gilmour, midway side the Palace half. Goes to Buonanotte, who's been brought down illegally by Jefferson Lerma. That'd be a free kick for Brighton. Like I say, midway inside the Palace half, so a bit too far out for a shot. But definitely an opportunity for a cross into the box. Pascal Gross is over it. He's picked up 4 assists in his last 5 games, Pascal Gross, so from these opportunities he'll fancy picking up another. There he goes, cross into the box. It's overhit, straight through for a goal kick. As I say, he's been collecting the assists. He does the absolute opposite of trying to get another one by just booting it out of play pretty much. Way too much power on it there from Pascal Gross. As Brighton did make 4 changes coming into this game after the 2-0 defeat to Arsenal. Veltman's out with an injury. Milner, Lallana and Ferguson were dropped to the bench. And same for Palace in fairness, 3 changes for them. Joel Ward came off with an injury at the Etihad, so he's out. And then Riedeveld and Schlupp were replaced in the starting 11, as well as who's brought down Buonanotte. I think it was number 26, Chris Richards. I thought it might have been Will Hughes, who literally just picked up a booking. I don't think the referee knows who's committed the foul here. It's Tyreek Mitchell with the yellow card. The left back's been booked. Let's have a look here. Dropped to Buonanotte in the Palace half, and I think it's both. I think Mitchell and Richards both take him out at the exact same time. One takes the left leg, one takes the right. It's Tyreek Mitchell, the one who's had the booking, and it'll be Gross to cross the ball into the box. It's a good ball. It's a header, 1 towards the far post, and it is not far wide by Lewis Dunk, who's yet to score in this fixture. This is his 15th time playing Palace, and he beat Anderson to the header on the 6-yard line, and he headed it towards the top right corner. It's curling inwards, but just not enough to get into the back of the net. And it remains Crystal Palace 1, Brighton 0. Lewis Dunk coming close. Just the 1 goal for Dunk so far this season, at home against Liverpool on the 8th of October. As Dean Henderson's goal kick is won by the head of Dunk into the centre circle to Matoma. Forward to Welbeck, keeps it moving, going backwards to Gilmour, then forward to Buonanotte. Pedro out to the right to Hinshelwood, touch forward to Welbeck, back heel into Hinshelwood, who tries to shoot, caught from behind. The referee says no. VAR are going to have a look at this. I think this might be a good shout for a penalty. Really good football from Brighton. Really, really good. The VAR tonight is David Coote. Alongside him in the VAR booth is Konstantin Hatzidakis. Great back heel into the path of Hinshelwood by Welbeck. And as he went to shoot, he did clip the left leg of Ayew. Not on purpose, Ayew. He was just running. And as Hinshelwood swung his leg back to shoot, it's just come off the knee of Ayew. So there's not really much the Palace goal scorer could have done to get out of the way. He's just running backwards. And as that Hinshelwood went to pull the trigger, just caught the right knee of Ayew and went over on the challenge. Personally, for me, that's not a penalty. And it's not been given. So, no penalty for Brighton. Thrown down the line by Mitchell down the near side towards Mateta. Headed away by Van Hecke. And it's won back here by Hughes on Pedro. And the ball drops to Mateta. Lerma out to the right to Elise. Klein overlapping, but in front of him is Mateta. In the box, towards the byline. He'll work a cross in, which goes through towards Lerma. Cleared away by Igor. And it's now with João Pedro. Getting away from Anderson and playing the ball through towards Matoma, who can't quite get there ahead of Klein. He plays it back to Dean Henderson in the 18-yard box, who will clear it out to the Palace right-hand side. Cut out by Pedro. Kept in by Igor. And it's Brighton on the ball on halfway. Gilmour out to the left to Pedro. Works himself away from Anderson. Forward to Buonanotte. Tries to lay it off to the left to Gilmour on the edge of the 18-yard area. Cut out, but Elise can't keep it. Gross loses it to Lerma. It's now to Elise again. Driving away from Gilmour. Into the Brighton half we go. Michael Elise, who got the assist for the goal. Can't take on Igor because he's been stopped in his tracks there. And that'll be a free kick. And a booking for the Brazilian. Elise tried to take him on. Going on the outside. He got it away from him, but then Igor just had a pull of the shirt. Was not letting Michael Elise go beyond him there. That's a yellow card for the Brazilian. He hadn't started the last 2 games for Brighton, Igor. But he's back in tonight and he's in the book. This is a dangerous position for a free kick here. On the far side, Elise's over it. The Brighton defensive line is on the edge of the box. Elise will cross it. Left-footed. It's a header away by João Pedro towards the penalty spot. Towards Matoma, who will lose out to Klein. Good ball from Klein to Elise, but he's tackled really well by Pedro. Could be a counter-attack on here. Buonanotte, pretty much on his own, surrounded by Palace shirts, but he gets away from Elise and finds it to the left to Matoma. In the box, right-footed, strikes it. It's an easy save for Henderson. Needs to be doing better than that. Kaoru Matoma. Bad loss of possession there by Elise. It was well won by Pedro. Buonanotte was driving forward. Did really well to chop it onto his left foot again. Away from the slide challenge of Elise. But the shot from Matoma was really poor. Comfortable save for Henderson. As the ball's gone long for Palace, up towards Mateta. Last touch off the Frenchman. Throwing on the far side for Brighton. And we're going to get a change here. Wow. What a change this is going to be. So Palace are bringing off their number 19, and that is Will Hughes, who is on a booking. And instead of going from the midfield options of Riedeveld or Franca or Ahamada, they've gone for David Ozo. The 18-year-old who's making his 6th first-team appearance. It's his 5th of this season. It's his 4th in the Premier League. He came on in the first half against Manchester City as a substitute, so he's obviously got the trust of Roy Hodgson. So the number 52 for Crystal Palace is on David Ozo, central midfielder. More of a holding midfielder. Was born in Valencia in Spain, but was moved to England at an early age, so he does represent England. He's current under-18s international. So Will Hughes has come off for his booking, I presume, but I'm just surprised they brought on David Ozo. So another change for Palace. Matoma from the left wing is tackled fairly by both Elise and Klein. And it's now with Elise in a right-back position. He's looking towards his own goal, who then finds Klein. It's now Ozo to Klein again at right-back, whose clearance down the line goes out of pitch. Throwing in the Palace half for Brighton. So we've got half an hour left of this game. Brighton still searching for an equaliser. As they go back into their own half here with Dunk. And if they lose tonight, Brighton, it will be a loss on De Zerbi's 50th game. As a manager in the Premier League, it would be 17th loss altogether. And if they concede one more tonight, Brighton, they would have conceded 100 under De Zerbi, with 129 scored. Pedro tried to take on Anderson towards the byline, cleared by the Danish centre-half, only as far as Igor, who goes forward to Gilmour. Ball in the box, no one's there, absolutely no one's there. Hinshelwood apologises, because Gross is wondering why he didn't make the run. Hinshelwood knows he needs to make that run, but he didn't, and it was a catch for Dean Henderson, who's played Brighton now, with 4 different teams. He played them against Sheffield United, for Manchester United, and for Nottingham Forest, and now for Crystal Palace. Spent 12 years at Manchester United, Dean Henderson, making 29 first-team appearances. High ball over the top for Palace. It's headed backwards by Van Hekke to his goalkeeper. Good defending from the Dutchman. And it's Brighton back in possession. Well played that from Van Hekke. Number 29. Who 2 seasons ago was on loan at Blackburn Rovers in the Championship, where he won Player of the Season there. And now he's starting to be used as a first-team regular at Brighton under Roberto De Zerbi. Brighton still got it just inside their own half with Igor. Dunk in the centre circle. Got space in front of him to drive forward. He plays it to his right here to Van Hecker. Forward to Welbeck. Furthest right here is Buonanotte. 1-2 with Welbeck. Tries to get it through the legs of Lerma. The ball drops eventually to Welbeck on the edge of the box. He enters the box on the right-hand side. Can he work across? No, he can't. Runs out of room. Goal kick for Palace. They're defending well at the minute, the home side. As Welbeck isn't happy with someone. He's pointing at someone. I think he's using some interesting choices of language there. I think it might be towards Van Hecker, as that's who they've panned the camera to. Yeah, Danny Welbeck certainly not happy with someone there. Coming off the bench, Danny Welbeck at half-time. Made his 100th Brighton appearance at the weekend against former club Arsenal. Returning from an injury himself, Danny Welbeck. Missed 11 games out with a hamstring injury. That's just the left-back Igor for Brighton, just inside the Palace half. Goes to Pascal Gross, who's just dropped in a bit deep for the ball now to work his magic, where he sprays the ball out to the right-hand side looking for Hinshelwood. Headed away by Mitchell towards the corner flag, where it will be kept in by Hinshelwood, who tries to turn and cross. He puts a low ball in towards the 18-yard area, cleared by Richards. Throwing on this near side for Brighton with Hinshelwood, who gets the return from Gilmour. Goes backwards here to Van Hecker. Inside to Gross. Goes back towards Van Hecker. He's got Jordan Ayew following him. He goes across to the halfway line to Dunk. It's now Igor. Back out towards the right-hand side here to Van Hecker. Who sees a switch out to the left. Loads of room towards Matoma, but the pass isn't great. Cut out by Klein. Doesn't find a blue and red shirt, so Brighton can keep the possession in the Palace half. Matoma again, working onto his right foot, playing it forward. It deflects towards Pedro. Tackled by Ozo. And it goes forward to Elise. Can't get away from Gross. It's now back with Brighton again in the Palace half. With number 11, Billy Gilmour. Who curls it out to the right-hand side here with Hinshelwood. 10-yard pass to his left to Van Hecker. To the left again to Dunk. On once more to Igor. Who finds Matoma. Lifted ball in towards the 18-yard area. Deflects to Pascal Gross, who turns, lays it off. Buonanotte shoots, blocked. Second shot, saved by Dean Henderson. Parried away to Hinshelwood on the byline. Crosses, deep, far post. Header into the sky by Richards. Helped away by Lerma. Drops to Igor. Lays it off to Dunk from afar. Plays it through to João Pedro. Turns in the box. Trying to work himself away from Anderson. Can't quite do so. Kicks it out of play. Goal kick. That was a little bit of an opening there for Brighton and Hove Albion. Good save again. Down low to his left from Dean Henderson. First shot blocked from Buonanotte. Then Gilmour's strike towards the bottom right corner was curling into the bottom right corner. That needed to be saved. As Billy Gilmour is still searching for his first ever goal in professional football. Never mind just for Brighton. This is really entertaining me. I'm sure it is. I'm sure this is really entertaining. I'm sure this is right up your street. As it looks like Abere Eze. I sound stupid saying that, but that's how you pronounce it. It's not Abere. It's Abere. It's like air. Abere Eze will be coming on for Crystal Palace, the number 10, who's also coming back from a little bit of an injury as well. Matoma pokes it through to Pascal Gross, who will keep it in on the byline. He'll cut it right the way through. Back post, Hinshelwood. Oh, he doesn't catch it nicely. Could not sky that anymore. Jack Hinshelwood, who's starting to be a bit of a nuisance on that right-hand side. Getting forward from right back. Gross with the ball across. It just avoided Welbeck and Buonanotte, but it dropped to Hinshelwood. And did that ball just bounce in front of him? Let's have a look. Yeah, just didn't quite catch it. Just got well underneath it, the number 41. And over the bar it went. But you can definitely see why he's been brought into the first team by De Zerbi. He's a good player, Hinshelwood, who, as I mentioned before, got his first Brighton goal a couple of weeks ago at home to Brentford. Nearly got his second there, but couldn't convert. Van Hecker heads away from the goal kick. It's now with the left back Mitchell. Richards goes back to Dean Henderson in the 18-yard box. He's been closed down by Welbeck, but he can clear it away from him. Up towards Elise, who it will drop to as he's got to take on Igor again. A bit of a heavy touch, and Igor goes over as he's pushed from behind by Elise. And that'll be a free kick for Brighton. And by the way, we're well over 20 minutes now into the second half, and Crystal Palace haven't had a shot yet. Shows the absolute dominance that Brighton have had in this second half. We started with a bit of Palace pressure at the start of the second half, but it's been all Brighton since about the 50th minute onwards. But they're yet to break down this Crystal Palace team. Came close there through Hinshelwood, who did sign a new 3-year deal back in April to keep his stay at Brighton until 2026. Joining 2012, Hinshelwood. Ball over the top again towards the left-hand side, looking for Pascal Gross, out muscle by Klein, who will clear it. Not really convincing, but it does drop to Elise, who helps it on once more towards the halfway line to Mateta, who's been dispossessed there by Dunk. And Brighton again will be on the ball. But they've got 5 wins away from home this season in all competitions. Brighton, 2 of them in the Europa League. It's Ajax and AEK Athens. But they're struggling tonight to score. But will it come sooner rather than later? Dunk, about 30 yards out. All Palace plays behind the ball, which shows you how deeply they're defending. Cross goes in from the left-hand side. Far post. Dropped by Henderson. Goes through the legs. Sending the 6-yard box. Jeez, it's like a hot potato. And eventually it's dealt with after Van Hecke's shot's blocked. Dean Henderson, he's like juggling with the ball. He couldn't keep hold of it. And thankfully for him, his defence blocked that Van Hecke shot. It's now with IU on halfway. And wow, that was a moment of absolute madness from Dean Henderson. He came to collect the cross from Gross, dropped it, and then it fell in the 6-yard box, and he kept just trying to grab hold of it. And it just looked like he had, I don't know what was going on. It's like it was like a hot potato. He kept dropping the ball, and thankfully he wasn't punished, because that would have been rather embarrassing there from Dean Henderson. But they've got away with it, and it's Crystal Palace with a bit of possession in the Brighton half, which is just about being kept there by Richards. Ball forward by Anderson, finds Ozo. Now Elise in the final third, onto his left foot, inside the area, can't shoot, but he'll play across to Ayew, back heels it to Mitchell, who makes a run from left back, who tries to cross, deflects off Mitchell, then back off Buonanotte, and that'll be a goal kick for Brighton. Good defending from the Argentine, Facundo Buonanotte, who scored on his Premier League debut, on his first start in the Premier League last season against Nottingham Forest away from home. Just the 1 goal so far this season, which also came away from home for Buonanotte against Chelsea in another defeat for Brighton. As Palace will make their change, their number 10, Eze, will come on. And he will replace the goal scorer, Jordan Ayew, who came straight back into the starting 11 today after missing the Manchester City game through a red card suspension. But Eze's on for his 12th appearance of the season. Both of his Premier League goals this campaign have come at home to Wolves and Everton. Can he score another home game again? We've got 20 minutes to play. We've got Brighton domination on the ball, but yet to score is Welbeck. Loses out to Richards, but he keeps it actually as he pokes it to Gross on the left. Through to João Pedro. Dean Henderson comes for it, and Pedro kicks it out for a throw-in. He avoids the goal kick there, Pedro, but the offside flag's gone up here on the near side through Akil Housen. Gross played the ball through. Pedro made the run early. And yeah, offside. Good decision from the assistant referee. But I don't know where Dean Henderson was going outside of his box. But all is calm again for Palace as Mitchell goes down the left-hand side to Eze. Back into Mitchell. Eze again. Going back towards his own goal here, the number 10. Being tracked down here by Hinshelwood. Plays it back to Gate. And the clearance goes down the line. But Hinshelwood just caught Eze late there. So it'll be a free kick for the home side. Straight on the pitch, Eze, and straight into the wars with a strong tackle from Hinshelwood. So in a left-back position, Crystal Palace have got a free kick here. It'll be taken by number 30, Dean Henderson. It's gone all the way through here to Brighton's goalkeeper Verbruggen. Another left-footed clearance. This time it's met by a Brighton player. His poor clearance led to a goal in the first half, as it's now with Hinshelwood on halfway in a right-back position. He's got Buonanotte down the line. He goes to his left instead here to Gilmour. He's got his head up, looking out towards the left-hand side. And here's Igor, back inside to Gilmour. He's now with Dunk, furthest back for Brighton. He's midway inside the Palace half. Pass forward to João Pedro, wants to shoot, chops onto his left foot, plays it forward to Welbeck. He lays it off to Gross, outside the area. He shoots, it's blocked by Richards. Straight to the head of Van Hecker, who finds his captain Dunk. That's now with Van Hecker again. Dunk, very resolute defending from Palace. Every man behind the ball as the Brighton captain's on it. Works it to the right-hand side here to Hinshelwood. Wants a 1-2 with Buonanotte. Not completed, but he's still got the ball here for Brighton. Buonanotte. And here's Gilmour, 22 yards from goal. Curls across in towards the far post. It's a teasing one. Gross couldn't reach it. And it goes straight through for a goal kick. It's the right idea from Billy Gilmour. I think Pascal Gross wanted a bit more height on it. A bit more of a floater. Had quite a bit of pace on it, and it was too much for Gross in the end. And Matoma couldn't keep it in on the far post. So it's a goal kick for the home side as Brighton want to make more changes. And the next one that's been readied is Adam Lallana. It's from the goal kick. Dean Henderson to take it out to the Palace left in the Brighton half. It's gone over the head of Van Hecker and Mateta, cleared by Hinshelwood. It's a high one. It's a looper. It will be bouncing and it will be brought down by Lerma. Ozo keeps it away from the Brighton midfield. It's now with Klein at right back. Forward to Elise, who's been forced backwards to his own goalkeeper. Good pressing here from Gross. Henderson thumps it away again into the Palace, into the Brighton half, straight to Van Hecker. No direction on it towards a Palace player there from Dean Henderson. Gilmour forward here to Gross. Matoma is the furthest left. And he gets the ball out to the right looking for Hinshelwood. It's brought down by the number 41. He lays it off towards Buonanotte, who has a strike. Can't quite get the power on it. It goes straight through to Dean Henderson. And again, the frustration builds for Brighton. Good switch out there by Matoma. Brought down by Hinshelwood. Laid it off to Buonanotte. As he tried to get some kind of shot towards goal, just couldn't quite connect to it. And Henderson is now rolling the ball out. Joachim Andersen down the right channel, controlled by Igor. Straight into the path of Elise, who tries to go around the outside of Igor. Well defended there by the Brazilian, who tries to clear it down the line. Comes off Elise, throwing on the far side for Brighton. As Brighton are going to make their change, it is going to be the number 41, Jack Hinshelwood, who came close to scoring around 10 minutes ago. He's going to be replaced here by Adam Lallana. So I think Pascal Gross will go towards a right-back position. And Adam Lallana will go in that attacking midfield role. Starting a lot of games recently, Adam Lallana. Started seven of the last 8 games in the Premier League. Only made one Europa League appearance off the bench in the final game against Marseille. But yeah, in the Premier League, he's been used a lot, Adam Lallana. 35-year-old, whose contract's up at the end of this season. I think the throw-in from Igor has been deemed as a foul throw, so it's now a Palace throw-in inside the Brighton half. It's really poor from Igor. It was almost like a basketball throw. Klein down the line to Mateta towards the corner flag, holding the ball up here. Tries to turn away from Igor. He goes over too easily there, Mateta, but he's kept alive here by Elise. Roulettes away from Matoma. Good skill from the Frenchman. Elise's a bit stuck here. He tries to flick and get beyond Matoma, but can't quite get the job done. And eventually it's cleared out for another throw-in for Palace. Definitely a very skillful player, isn't he, Michael Elise? He's good to watch. Assisted the goal that is currently winning the game from Jordan Ayew. Klein with another throw-in down the line towards Mateta, headed into the 18-yard box, dropped to the feet of Van Hecker, who's not surrounded by any Palace players. So can go out to the right to Pascal Gross, who has gone out to that right back area. Verbruggen clears. Buonanotte nods it down. Can't find Lallana. It's now Eze. His pass is cut out by Gilmour, but his heavy touch is dropped to Chris Richards, who slams it away and out for a goal kick for Brighton. As Brighton still have Evan Ferguson on the bench, their leading scorer in the Premier League this season. He's only got the one away goal, though, this season in the Premier League, Evan Ferguson, away at Forest in a recent away win. But they've brought on the likes of Buonanotte, Lallana, Welbeck. So Brighton are on the ball on the halfway line with Van Hecker. And Palace set up again in that defensive shape. All players behind the ball. That's got 13 minutes to play of the 90. Dunk. Drifting out towards the right-hand side. He has to go back to Van Hecker as he was nearly dispossessed by Lerma. Everything to his left here now for Pascal Gross, who's on the ball. Goes inside to Van Hecker. Across to the left to Igor. Looks for Matoma, passes intercepted by Anderson, and he fires it out quickly to the right-hand side here to Elise. Inside to Mateta. In the Brighton half, he gets away from Dunk. He's got Eze over on the chance on the box. He takes it, his shot is blocked. He drops back to Eze, who's got Mitchell to his left. He doesn't want to use the left back. He gets away from Buonanotte, pokes it to Lerma, back through towards Eze. It deflects through, and it's not been kept in. Corner for Palace, but that's a huge chance from Eze. It was well worked to Mateta by Elise, and the turn from Mateta to get away from Dunk is beautiful. Absolutely sold the Englishman. And he played it through to Eze, who was the man over. And as he's gone to shoot with the left foot towards the bottom right corner, it is heroically blocked by the sliding challenge of Van Hecker. And Palace do win a corner, but that's a huge chance for their number 10. That's not been taken. So on this near side, it will be a corner kick. Elise with it, near post, flicked on, not dealt with, drops to Eze, he shoots into the ground, and it loops over the crossbar. And behind for a goal kick. Two chances in quick succession for Eze, who was left unmarked there in the box, and his shot was just looping over and also going wide as well. So Brighton play out from the back. Gilmour, first time ball forward up towards halfway. Dealt with by Anderson. Forward to Mateta. Edge of the box. Will he let fly? He's entered the box. He will let fly. It's got power. He's also got too much height on it. Out for a goal kick there. Unfortunate from Jean-Philippe Mateta, whose first ever Palace goal came against Brighton in an away game back in February 2022. Couldn't quite find the net that time, unlike the last two games where he's scored against Liverpool and Manchester City. Now Brighton in the Palace half with their left back Igor. It's now with Gilmour. Van Hecker passing the halfway line, dribbling forward, not being closed down, so he can play it out towards the left-hand side. Cut out by Klein, but Mitoma's got there and took it away from him. Mitoma in the box, goes down over the challenge of Richards. And Mitoma's been told to get up by Dean Henderson. Throws him to the side. It's now Ozo on the ball for Crystal Palace, the young midfielder. Anderson in a right-back position, clears it long down the right-hand side. Mateta will chase it. Dunk will get there first. He'll play it back to the goalkeeper for Bruggen. That'll be Palace on the ball. It'll be Brighton on the ball on the edge of the 18-yard box. Don't think that was a foul there on Mitoma. Went down a bit too easily. It's now with Buonanotte. Gross to the right. It's a short pass, but he'll get there ahead of Mitchell. Pascal Gross, 22 yards from goal. Looking out to the left-hand side. Finds Mitoma, who volleys first time. It's spilt by Henderson. And he recollects it as Buonanotte was coming in. So Mitoma is still hobbling as he entered the box there with a chance before. Oh, it's just the way he landed on his left leg. He dribbled forward and just went over. Dived, really. No one was touching him. But it's the way the ball came over to him and he controlled it there. It's a great volley, but it was a save for Dean Henderson, which was easy, but made it a bit harder than it looks by spilling it. But the first time where Mitoma got the ball, the way he planted his left foot, it's like his left leg kind of just went still. You know, when players land really awkwardly from a height, and then remember Zuma and Ibrahimovic, they've suffered injuries where they've just hyperextended their leg with a with a landing. It almost looked a bit like that for Matoma, but I think he's okay. I don't know if he is okay. He's still hobbling on the far left-hand side as Brighton have got it. Gilmore forward to Buonanotte. Edge of the box, he's tackled. Loose ball drops to Welbeck. There's a man free on the right for Brighton, and that's Gross. And the pass by Welbeck's cut out. But straight to Igor for Brighton. And they'll continue here, the Seagulls, to try and get this equaliser. Van Hecke out to the right-hand side to Gross. Left foot. Puts the cross into the box. Header won by Danny Welbeck. And that's one of the best headers you'll see. Expert target man work from Danny Welbeck. And there is the equaliser. Came off the bench at half-time. And he gets his second of the season. It's his first since Manchester United in game week 5. And he got there above Chris Richards and it looped right into that top right corner. You couldn't place it any better. What a looping header that is. Over Dean Henderson, into the net. That is absolutely sublime from Danny Welbeck. And it's Crystal Palace 1, Brighton 1. And that is a very familiar scoreline because 5 of the last 8 meetings between these two have ended 1-1. Will 6 of the last 9 end 1-1? We'll wait and see. But this one's all square. Palace 1, Brighton 1, and that is a superb header from Danny Welbeck. As Matoma has had to come off with that left leg injury, which he picked up a couple of minutes ago. Just the way he landed on his left leg seemed awkward, and he's been replaced by Jakob Murder, who's returning this season after 19 months out with an ACL injury. That is not a lie. The Brighton number 15, the midfielder, has been out 19 months. He returned in November of this year against Nottingham Forest, away from home on the 25th of November, then made his home return against Brentford on the 6th of December, as Brighton won all 3 points here. Buonanotte, midway side the Palace half, shifts it to Lallana. Still with Brighton in the Palace half, over the top to Gross, header inside to Lallana. Murder. We've got Gross furthest right, he'll play it to him, then back inside to Van Hecke. 1-2 with Lallana. Van Hecke with a touch in the box. He goes down under the challenge of Lerma. Van Hecke's furious, and it's cleared eventually by Crystal Palace. Don't think there's enough in that for a penalty, as Van Hecke receives the throw in here from Gross. It's now a dunk. Can Brighton get a victory? Palace haven't won in their last 6 games. That run might extend to 7. Dunk. Gilmore. Can't get away from Ozo. Elise links up with Mateta. Tackled fairly by Buonanotte in the Palace half. And Brighton will come again. Murder. Inside to Welbeck, but Murder goes down under the challenge of Ozo, and he'll pick up a booking. Jakob Murder played the ball through and then was caught once the ball had gone. Yeah, caught the top of his right foot there. From the Palace number 52, David Ozo. So free kick for Brighton on the left-hand side. They've already scored an absolutely fantastic header from Danny Welbeck a couple of minutes ago. Could they score another one here? Pascal Gross is over it with his right foot. He'll be the one to cross it. Header won by Mateta. Straight, not out. Not out for a corner. Kept in by Lerma. Cleared by the Colombian straight through to Verbruggen in the Brighton goal. Well, not in his goal. He's out of his area to recycle the ball forward. It was another assist there for Pascal Gross for Brighton from that cross for the Welbeck goal. And that is now his 5th assist in 6 games for Pascal Gross. He's really starting to find his rhythm with the goal-creating chances. He's got it here midway side the Palace half. On this near side, plays a ball forward, looking for Welbeck. Cut out by Richards. Ezer can't keep it alive. Now back with Brighton. Gilmore gets it back to Van Hecke. Now on halfway with Dunk. 4 minutes to play. Dunk still has it. Got plenty of options in front of him. He goes out to the right-hand side here to Pascal Gross. First time ball forward looking for Murder. Can't quite get it ahead of Mark Gay, who's trying to see it out here for a goal kick. He can't. Kept in by Murder, and the free kick goes against the Polish central midfielder. Mark Gay was trying to see it out, but the ball didn't really want to go out of play. It's a bit soft for me. Don't think Murder does much wrong there. I think he gets away with that a little bit. Mark Gay, the captain tonight for Crystal Palace. Henderson from that free kick fires it forward into the Brighton half, headed forward by Gilmour, touched on by Welbeck, hooked away by Lerma, chested down by Murder, out to the right hand side here to Gross, just inside his own half. He goes down the line to Welbeck. His pass back is deflected off Eze into the feet of Gay. It's now Henderson in the 18-yard area again, clears it long forward towards Elise, brought down by Dunk, played forward by Dunk, touched by Welbeck into Buonanotte. Good football. Buonanotte over the top. Looking for Welbeck. It's hooked away by Anderson, but straight to the path of João Pedro, whose shot is blocked. And Eze loses it, but goes out for a throw-in for Crystal Palace. Dangerous opportunity there. Anderson's clearance wasn't great. Set it up nicely for a shot for João Pedro, who's working in the left wing position for the remainder of the game due to the injury of Kaoru Mitoma. It's already back with Brighton with their goalkeeper Verbruggen. Played back to him by Van Hecke. It's now with number 5, Lewis Dunk. João Pedro on the left-hand side, driving inside. Tries a 1-2 with Lallana, but the ball goes back instead to Gilmour on halfway. Keeps it moving, keeping it away from Mateta. Dunk driving forward. No one wants to close him down, but Lerma will eventually. And he fires it out to the right-hand side to Van Hecke. Back to his left to Dunk. Dribbles back into his own half and fires it out to the right-hand side. Finds Gross. Into Van Hecke. Again, squares a pass to his left to Dunk inside his own half. It's now with Gilmour. Over the top, towards the left-hand side of the box where Danny Welbeck will meet it. And it goes wide. That ball through. Met by Dean Henderson at first. And Dean Henderson punched it forward. And as Danny Welbeck was running onto it, the punch went straight off his face. And a very thankful Dean Henderson watches that just squirm wide of the post. What is Dean Henderson doing? He comes flying towards the edge of the box, punching the ball instead of catching it. And his punch, I don't know how you slice a punch, but he's gone to punch it forward and it somehow bounced off his knuckle to the right-hand side. And he's very thankful that doesn't come off the forehead of Danny Welbeck. If it comes off the forehead of Danny Welbeck, that might have gone in. But instead it came right off his face and dribbled wide. But if anyone's going to win this, it is definitely going to be Brighton. They've had a very dominant second half. There's got 30 seconds left in the 90 to play. It's Brighton with the ball midway inside their own half here with Dunk. Goes back here to Verbruggen, the goalkeeper. Pascal Gross on the right-hand side. Finds Van Hecke, 23-year-old Dutch centre-half. Who's looking for the right pass. He's going to go down the right channel, looking for Danny Welbeck in behind. He'll find him in the box. It's a tight angle, and he'll try the shot anyway. And it's well wide and high, and that'll be a goal kick for Crystal Palace. Unfortunate there for Welbeck, who's looking for his second goal of the game. This is his 10th game against Crystal Palace, and tonight was the first time he scored against them with that superb header. 5 minutes has been added on by the 4th official, Simon Hooper. Roy Hodgson wants his team to see this result through. This will be their 6th draw of the season. 3 of them at home. The other 2 being 0-0 against Fulham and Forest. They've lost it again. Tyreek Mitchell's ball forward is loose. Van Hecke has it, out to the right to Gross, who adventures into the Palace half. Gross with an early ball across, touched on by Lallana, chased down by Buonanotte. But Dean Henderson will get there first. And it'll be Palace to kill some more of the time that's left of this game. As De Zerbi wants a winner in his 50th game. In charge of Brighton in the Premier League. Not been defeated yet, though, against Crystal Palace. De Zerbi is Dean Henderson's ball forward. Can't be kept alive by Mateta for Palace. And it's now with the goalkeeper, Verbruggen, who rolls out quickly to Van Hecke. Forward to Buonanette in the centre circle. He's looking out towards the left-hand side, and he will find Adam Lallana. Not got many options forward. Eventually lays it off to João Pedro, who's midway inside the Palace half. He ends up going backwards to Igor. To his right to Dunk. On once more to Van Hecke. It's now Gross, who was tried to be found. But Van Hecke's pass is not accurate. And it gets away from the German and out for a throw-in for Crystal Palace on this near side. Needs to be a better ball than that Van Hecke. It's a simple 15-yard pass. Tyreek Mitchell throws it down the line towards Mateta, who is tackled by Van Hecke, and that'll be a throw-in for Crystal Palace. Just inside the Brighton half. Mitchell will take it again. He'll take it quickly to Mateta, who chests it down, kicks it off Pascal Gross, and he'll win another throw-in into the final third now. Really good forward play by the number 14 in striker, Crystal Palace, Mateta. As he's throwing this time goes to Lerma, back to Mitchell. Ball inside to Ezer. Lerma again. Backwards to Richards, who will go backwards once more to the halfway line to Anderson. To the left to Gay. Finds Mitchell. First time pass down the line to Ezer. Gets away from Van Hecke. Keeps it moving as Murder put the tackle in. Richards. Klein. Elise. Try to get into the final third here. Michael Elise going on the outside of Igor. Keeps it away from him and goes back to Klein. All this play in the Brighton half, which Palace haven't done much of in the second half. Back out to Elise. Klein. Anderson over the top. Looking for the run of Elise in the box. It's going to be cut out by Dunk. Heads it back to his goalkeeper, Verbruggen. Good defending by Lewis Dunk. As the ball's been rolled out to the left-hand side to Igor. Across to Dunk. It's now Van Hecke. Just under 2 minutes left to play here at Selhurst Park. Could we be aiming for a sixth 1-1 draw in the last 9 games between these two? It's Igor on the halfway. Forward to Pedro, who's having to take up a left wing position. Gets it to Dunk on the halfway line once again. His pass forward is held up by Welbeck, but eventually loses out to Ozo, who is going to be dispossessed by Welbeck, but cleared by Mitchell. Goes through to Van Hecke in the Brighton half. They've got just over a minute left to try and get a goal winner here. Gilmore driving into Palace half, playing out to the left to João Pedro. Back into Gilmore. João Pedro again. Lallana. João Pedro goes down off the ball, but play continues. Welbeck, Buonanotte, pass intercepted. Buonanotte tries to keep it alive, but Lerma comes out of it. Forced out to the left-hand side here to Ezer, who can't take on Van Hecke. He wins it back in the Palace half. And Van Hecke goes forward to Buonanotte. 40 seconds to play. Igor. It's now with Gilmore. 30 seconds left. Out to the right-hand side to Gross. Van Hecke crosses off the back of Ezer. And it will bounce out. No, it'll be kept in by Gross. He'll go back to the goalkeeper Verbruggen. Quick ball forward to the halfway line to Dunk. We're running out of time here. Still with Dunk on halfway. All Crystal Palace players still behind the ball. Dunk. Van Hecke out to the right-hand side to Gross. They need to get it in the box. We've played the 5 minutes. Igor into Lallana. Forward to the edge of the box to Pedro. Back to Welbeck. Finds Igor, who will cross it low. Header away by Richards. Drops to Pedro. Dunk. This is agonising to watch. Gilmore again from afar. Won't have time to shoot. He will pop the shot anyway. And it goes well over the crossbar. The referee blows the whistle. And at full time here at Selhurst Park, once again in this fixture, it ends Crystal Palace 1, Brighton 1. It was a first half which was pretty even in terms of chances, but that second half was domination from Brighton, and they were able to clinch an equaliser late on in the second half in the 82nd minute from Danny Welbeck. The first goal came from Jordan Ayew right on the 45th minute. A poor clearance from Verbruggen came off the head of Elise, who got the ball returned to him from Hughes, and then he crossed the ball in with that left foot of his to the far post where it was nodded down into the ground by Ayew. He couldn't miss from 6 yards, and he didn't, and that gave Crystal Palace a half-time lead. And a little bit of dominance from Palace at the start of the second half was pretty much cancelled out. Pretty much 50th minute onwards, it was all Brighton. They had all the ball, they had all the chances, and eventually that possession and the chances resulted in a goal. Pascal Gross from the right-hand side collected his 5th assist in his last 6 Premier League games. His cross went right onto the head of Danny Welbeck, whose header looped over Dean Henderson into the top right corner. It was an absolutely fantastic header from Danny Welbeck, who gets his 2nd of the season in the Premier League, his 1st since Manchester United in game week 5. And all in all, I think the draw's probably a fair result. I think Crystal Palace defended well enough to earn a draw, and I think Brighton did enough work going forward to earn themselves an equaliser. It was very one-sided, that game, especially in the second half, but at full time at Selhurst Park, it's Crystal Palace 1, Brighton 1. And like I keep mentioning it, but it's a crazy stat. The last six of the last 9 games now between these two have ended 1-1. That's absolutely insane. Just these two teams just cannot quite seem to get the better of one another. It's very close, these games usually. It does mean though that Brighton haven't been defeated against Crystal Palace in the last 5 games. So they are starting to build a bit of an unbeaten run, but a lot of those games that aren't losses are draws. So it's not like they're winning loads against Crystal Palace. They were able to beat them at the Amex last season. Last season here was a draw as well, in early February, and then at the Amex at Brighton's ground in March, they won 1-0. So these games are always tight and they're tightly contested, and tonight's no different. Neither team could come out with the 3 points, so both will have to settle for a draw. That is now just 2 wins in the last 12 in the league for Brighton. No wins in the last 7 for Crystal Palace. So these are 2 teams who are certainly struggling at the minute, and I don't think a draw will really favour any team, unfortunately. But that's the way it's ended at Selhurst Park. And both teams can look forward to their festive fixtures now. Palace are up against Chelsea away from home on the 27th. And Brighton have got Spurs next away at home on the 28th. So Brighton go up to 8th place themselves. But West Ham, who are 9th, have got a game ahead of them. So if West Ham win their game, then Brighton will drop back to 9th. But that's the lowest that Brighton can go this weekend. And then Crystal Palace go up to stay at 15th. But if Everton win, then they could drop down to 16th. But they can't go any lower than 16th. Crystal Palace, who are having a pretty poor season under Roy Hodgson, especially at home. That's only 1 win now in 9 for the season at home at Selhurst Park in the Premier League. So they are struggling. Crystal Palace, at home especially. Brighton are struggling in general. They're doing well in Europe. Won, 4 of their last 4 games, keeping 4 clean sheets. But in the league, I think that European load on them of the fixtures is it's taking their toll on this Brighton team, and it usually does, especially when it's their first season. They're just getting used to the requirements needed for juggling European football with league football, and due to doing well in the Europa League, it has meant that they've took a hit in the Premier League, dropping down to 9th now, up to 8th, sorry, but will probably go back down to 9th more than likely. So yeah, it's definitely a season for both of these teams where they're not where they want to be, but there's plenty of the season left. We're nearly halfway through, so plenty of games left to be played for these 2 teams. Great commentary, mate. Keep going. Thank you very much. Last commentary before Christmas is in 2 days' time, where Roma take on Napoli. So a bit of Serie A commentary coming for you. And then we've got, I think, 4 or 5 commentaries coming up between Boxing Day and New Year's Eve. So make sure you keep checking the channel and keeping updated to know which commentaries are coming up, because they are always scheduled on the channel before they happen, so you know which ones are coming up. But for tonight from Selhurst Park, it's going to be the end of the live commentary here. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. And this fixture usually brings draws, and it's been no different tonight at Selhurst Park. A Jordan Ayew goal in the 45th minute gave Palace the lead, and with 8 minutes to go, Welbeck levelled it up. They couldn't be separated, and at full time here at Selhurst Park, it ends Crystal Palace 1, Brighton 1.